tell you to get me in. A rare and splendid soul that never looked back. Never looked back. The Archbishop half closed his eyes. But, sir, said Puck, most respectfully, haven't you left out what Mian said afterwards? Before the Bishop could speak, he turned to the children and went on. Mian called all his fishers and ploughmen and herdsmen into the hall, and he said, Listen, men. 2 days ago I asked our bishop whether it was fair for a man to desert his father's gods in a time of danger. Our bishop said it was not fair. You needn't shout like that, because you are all Christians now. My red warboat's crew will remember how near we all were to death when Padda fetched him over to the bishop's islet. You can tell your mates that even in that place, at that time, hanging on the wet, weedy edge of death, our bishop, a Christian, counselled me, a heathen, to stand by my father's gods. I tell you now that a faith which takes care that every man shall keep faith, even though he may save his soul by breaking faith, is the faith for a man to believe in. So I believe in the Christian God, and in Wilfrid, his bishop, and in the church that Wilfrid rules. You have been baptized once by the King's orders. I shall not have you baptized again, but if you find any more old women being sent to Wotan, or any girls dancing on the sly before Balder, or any men talking about Thun or Lok, or the rest, I will teach you with my own hands how to keep faith with the Christian God. Go out quietly. You'll find a couple of beefs on the beach. Then, of course, they shouted, Hurrah! Which meant, Thor help us. And I think you laughed, sir. I think you remember it all too well, said the Archbishop, smiling. It was a joyful day for me. I had learned a great deal on that rock where Padda found us. Yes, yes. One should deal kindly with all the creatures of God, and gently with their masters. But one learns late. He rose. His gold-embroidered sleeves rustled thickly. The organ cracked and took deep breaths. Wait a minute, Dan whispered. She's going to do the trumpety one. It takes all the wind you can pump. It's in Latin, sir. There is no other tongue, the Archbishop answered. It's not a real hymn, Una explained. She does it as a treat after her exercises. She isn't a real organist, you know. She just comes down here sometimes from the Albert Hall. Oh, what a miracle of a voice, said the Archbishop. It rang out suddenly from a dark arch of lonely noises, every word spoken to the very end. Dies irae, dies illa, solvet seclum infabile, teste David cum Sibylla. The Archbishop caught his breath and moved forward. The music carried on by itself a while. Now it's called all the light out of the windows, Una whispered to Dan. I think it's more like a horse neighing in battle, he whispered back. The voice continued. Tuba miran unspargens sonam per sepulchral reginum. Deeper and deeper the organ dived down, but far below its deepest note they heard Puck's voice joining in the last line. Coget omnes ante thronum. And as they looked in wonder, for it sounded like the dull jar of one of the very pillars shifting, the little fellow turned and went out through the south door. Now's the sorrowful part, but it's very beautiful. Una found herself speaking to the empty chair in front of her. What are you doing that for? Dan said behind her. You spoke so politely, too. I don't know. I thought, said Una. Funny. 'Tisn't. It's the part you like best. Dan grunted. The music had turned soft, full of little sounds that chased each other on wings across the broad, gentle flood of the main tune. But the voice was 10 times lovelier than the music. Recorder Jesu Pai, quod sum case tue vier, ne mi paris illi dae. There was no more. They moved out into the center aisle. That you? The lady called as she shut the lid. I thought I heard you, and I played it on purpose. Thank you awfully, said Dan. We hoped you would, so we waited. Come on, Una. It's pretty nearly dinner time. Song of the Red War Boat. Shove off from the wharf edge, steady! Watch for a smooth, give way! If she feels the lop already, she'll stand on her head in the bay. It's ebb, it's dusk, it's blowing, the shoals are a mile of white, but snatch her along, we're going to find our master tonight. For we hold that in all our disaster of shipwreck, storm, or sword, a man must stand by his master, when once he had pledged his word. Raging seas have we rowed in, but we seldom saw them thus. Our master's angry with Odin, Odin is angry with us. Heavy odds have we taken, but never before such odds. The gods know they are forsaken. We must risk the wrath of the gods. Over the crest she flies, from into its hollow she drops, crouches and clears her eyes from the wind-torn breaker tops. Ere out of the shrieking shoulder of a hill high surge she drives, meet her, and hold her, pull your scoundrel lives. The thunder bellow and clamour the harm that they mean to do. There goes Thor's own hammer, cracking the dark in two. Close, but the blow had missed her. Here comes the wind of the blow. Row, or the squall twist her broadside onto it. Row! Hearken, Thor of the thunder! We are not here for a jest, for wager, warfare, or plunder, or to put your power to test. This work is none of our wishing. We would stay at home if we might, but our master is wrecked out fishing. We go to find him tonight. For we hold that in all disaster, as the gods themselves have said, a man must stand by his master till one of the two is dead. That is our way of thinking. Now you can do as you will, while we try to save her from sinking, and hold her head to it still. Bail her and keep her moving, or she'll break her back in the trough. Who said the weather's improving, and the swells are taking off? Sodden and chafed and aching, gone in the loins and knees, no matter, the day is breaking, and there's far less weight to the seas. Up mast and finish bailing, in oars and out with the mead, the rest will be two reef sailing. That was a night indeed, but we hold that all disaster, and faith we have found it true. If only you stand by your master, the gods will stand by you. End of chapter 9 of Rewards and Fairies.